So there's been a lot of talk about the moment that will change Kanan and how and why he could turn savage with the death of a loved one such as Davina, but the same could very well be said about Jukebox. At some point something will happen to Jukebox that will turn her into even more savage than she already is, which will push her into choosing the life of a crooked cop instead of pursuing a music career, and we've seen this being foreshadowed in the last episode with her conversation with Detective Burke and Nicole having a first taste of drugs and whether or not she'll become a drug addict, overdose, or potentially even being caught in a crossfire. So in this video we're going to dissect exactly what could be the first turning point for Jukebox's character, why she could turn real savage, and whether or not we could see a major death coming with either Nicole and Davina, and why I still think Juke could be the one to take Davina out. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But let's just touch on one scene that we saw in Power before we get into all things episode 6, because this scene in episode 3 showed us just how savage Jukebox became. She was someone who didn't even want Kanan to just kill Ghost, because that would be too easy. She wanted Kanan to inflict as much pain and damage as he could before he disposes of him, just like she did with Dirt. Once she finishes someone and got maximum use out of them, she disposed of them. But this is just one of many Jukebox moments that we could refer to with how ruthless she was. And after episode 6, we could very well see her first turning point soon. We've seen her build up this relationship with Nicole ever since episode 1, which they've been keeping a secret because back in the days, back in the 1980s and 1990s, it was really frowned upon. You couldn't really openly admit that you were gay, and we've seen how Marvin reacted to Tony, asking him whether he prefers to cuddle with guys instead. He's very old school, and he's definitely someone who's against it as well. This is why we may just see Jukebox open up to Detective Burke instead, and you're gonna see why I think this as I run through this video, so stick with it till the end so you kind of get the whole picture, and why I still hold on to my prediction of Juke killing Davina too. But we saw Jukebox being abused by Nicole's mom in episode 5, she was called all sorts of names, and it definitely hurt her. Jukebox is hard and she's a hustler, but having someone tell you you're disgusting is gonna hurt. It's never gonna stop them from seeing each other though, they were always gonna find a way, and it brought Nicole over to Queens in episode 6. She came over to Juke and Famous's big night, and this is where she tried what they called P-Dog back in the day, and a few people mentioned how they call it different names depending on where you grew up, but regardless of what you call it, this is gonna play a huge role, and I'm gonna come back to it in just a moment. But Famous's lyrics were of Kanan's life. He rapped about Buck 20's death, he even rapped about how the stash house got hit, and also D-Wiz's death. All the events that have taken place in Kanan's life were the main lyrics, but what we need to pay attention to is the streets need a body, and I do think the streets will get a body next week. So let's rewind it back to the scene where Nicole got her first taste of crack, which she seemed to enjoy, and I can really see someone like Nicole becoming a drug addict. And just a spoiler warning for Snowfall, because I'm going to talk a similar situation, but for those of you who are caught up with Snowfall, we remember how Mel quickly became a drug addict to the rock that Franklin was selling, and it changed her. Leon once said that once the rock gets you, the person that you knew is gone, because he also lost someone to the rock that they were selling, and I feel like Jukebox is going to lose the person that she knows to this drug. It probably is one of the many reasons why she doesn't fuck with what Marvin's into, because she knows how dangerous this drug can be and what damage it can cause. I constantly refer back and forward to Power, and we've seen something like this happen before with Lindsay Proctor. Proctor pushed her into taking this coke after he doped her into believing that she failed her bar exam to become a lawyer, and she eventually died with an overdose with Proctor looking on. I do think this is something that can happen to Nicole as well, because I mentioned before that Kanan isn't the only one who's going to go through a tough lesson and go through something that will change him and make him a savage, and this is something Jukebox will have to go through as well. And I feel Nicole turning into a drug addict or even potentially dying of an overdose could push Juke into the crooked cop life and the street life more than she already is. Now what's been foreshadowed since the very first episode is that someone has been stepping on Raquel's product that they've been selling, and it came from Tony, who told Raquel and Lulu that they were switching supplies because their blow was all stepped on and dirty and shit. And I spoke about twice how Marvin refused to take his own blow, and I wonder whether Marvin has been the one stepping on his own product. We know that they've been running low on their supply because they have no connect now either, so what is their solution? Well, Unique gave one solution to his crew: step on the product even more. And this is what Marvin and Kanan could be doing with their little drug dealing scheme. They could be stepping on their product even more, and Nicole could even potentially buy a bad batch from them with their new little setup, and this is how she could become a drug addict or potentially even overdose. So this is how it could have already been foreshadowed before, and if this happens, then how would Jukebox react? How is things going to change with Jukebox? Because we've already spoken about Jukebox's double life, how she has one life with Laverne, how she lives with Nicole, and the other life that she snaps back into in Queens as Jukebox. We've seen a switch from both lives the minute she leaves Nicole with just the facial expressions, but Nicole becoming a drug addict or suffering an overdose, that's something that's going to hit Jukebox hard, because she's going to blame herself. She's started to think, what if she never came to the event? Then she would never have tried Crown's joint, and she would never have got hooked on this in the first instance. Nicole's parents would definitely blame Jukebox if she turns into a junkie, that's for sure. And what could really turn her savage is if she finds out that the blow is from Marvin and Kanan, that they sold from their little business venture, was the reason for Nicole's drug addiction or overdose, and with Nicole being taken away from her either way, I can really see her snapping and taking Davina away from Kanan. Kanan takes Nicole away from Jukebox, so Jukebox in return takes Davina away from Kanan, and this could explain a lot as to why Kanan was so scared when Jukebox had the gun to Tariq's head, because he could have witnessed her taking away a loved one from him before by potentially taking Davina away from Kanan right in front of him, and how fucking savage would that be from Jukebox? So I definitely still hold on to my original prediction that I made very early on, that Jukebox will take Davina away from Kanan. But first, Jukebox is going to need a shoulder to lean on if Nicole does become a junkie and if she does lose her to the drug. Now we know that shoulder is definitely not going to be Marvin, but what episode 6 taught us was that shoulder could very well be Detective Burke. She saw how she was with Nicole and she's seen the love that they've had for each other, and it actually tells us that Detective Burke could very well be into girls herself because she's able to spot something like this from a mile away, and she told Jukebox that Nicole cares about her, and if Jukebox ever wanted to talk, even if it's not about D-Wiz's death, then she could talk to her about anything else, and this is the start of a relationship that we're gonna see. I can see Jukebox and Detective Burke really building up a bond because Jukebox will turn to her with what she's going through with Nicole because she's the only person who will understand. I don't think Detective Burke would do it just to get information from Jukebox. She's a straight cop. She's not like Detective Howard who looks out for himself and makes certain moves because it will benefit him. Detective Burke is as straight as they come, and I think if she said she'd be there for Jukebox, then she means it. She's gonna be there for Jukebox. So this could very well be the answer as to why we see Jukebox being pushed into the street life a lot more and maybe getting a little reckless. Maybe Detective Burke catches her and rather than arresting her, she listens to her problems. She's there for her, and Detective Burke could be one of many reasons as to why she chooses to become a cop. But it is much later down the line when Jukebox does become a cop though, so there are going to be a lot more events that unfold before we get to that point, because in the original Power series in season 3, episode 3, when we were introduced to Jukebox, the TV report told us that she'd been in the police force for 8 years, so she would have become a cop during the time Kanan was in prison. So there are going to be so many more moments after Nicole and after Detective Burke, which will give us the answers as to why Jukebox turns real savage and turns into a crooked cop. And to be honest with you, I spoke about Jukebox killing Davina, but I can really see her being the one to kill Marvin eventually too in a later season. We've seen this father and son killing theme, and we know they're eventually going to have a big falling out over her sexuality, and it's something that we would never have thought of in season 1 of Power, with Tariq being the one to eventually take Ghost out. So I can definitely see this happening in a future season as well. But those are a few foreshadows and some clues that have been dropped in the beginning of the season, with the blow being stepped on and potentially Marvin and Kanan stepping on their product even more, because we know they have issues with their connect. A drug addiction from Nicole is definitely something I can see, maybe an overdose too, who knows. I think it's a little too early for that to happen, but I really wouldn't be surprised because it is Power at the end of the day. But drop me all your comments down below, let me know what you think about Nicole and Jukebox, and whether or not this could really be the turning point for Jukebox's character, and what leads her into the building this bond with Detective Burke over the last few episodes. So drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and of course if you're new to this channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.